super gung-ho about it, and I definitely support anyone learning how to read, because I really don't know what I'd do without my books and the awesome places they take me. So, that being said, my collection is growing out of control. I have a problem, guys. It's bad. I'm collecting faster than I can read, that's for sure. I think I have to be close to 800. I'm doing my inventory over the next couple of weeks because we have to start packing to move to the UK, and it's just gonna be so much. So I'll let you guys know what my counts are at some point. Anyway, let's get into this haul, okay? So first things first, I'm gonna start with Better World books, because I think that you guys will probably know a lot of these. I am not a brand new book buyer. The newest book that I have purchased this year was Spare by Prince Harry. Judge me not. And even then, I did a free Audible subscription so that I could get it. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. So the first book that I have, this was a bookstagram inspired by the young elites. It's a cool cover. Pretty simple but cool. And Marie Lu, like, I've heard of this author many a times before, but I haven't read anything by her yet. The front says, they are survivors, leaders, warriors. They are the young elites. Dun, dun, dun. So, it says, a decade ago, a deadly blood fever swept through the nation. Most of the infected perished, but some survivors were left with strange markings, rumored to signify powerful gifts for those who possessed them. And though their identities remain secret, this group of survivors has come to be called the Young Elites. The Inquisition Axis seeks to destroy them. The Dagger Society aims to find them before the Inquisition Axis. And Adelina Amaturo just wants to be left alone, but two truths will soon surface. Adelina's powers are far from ordinary, and she is not to be crossed. Yeah, it's a series. The Rose Society. But yeah, it sounds good. It sounds interesting. It looks like pretty large print, so I think it would be an easy read. I like that. I'm about it, so I'm excited to read that. Any of these books, if you guys have read them, please let me know. Now, the funny part is, now that I say that, is that the next book that I'm about to show you is one that I've actually already read. Children of Blood and Bone by Tommy Adeyemi. Children of Blood and Bone. I loved this book, and I was really excited to get the sequel, but I got this one, or I read it back when it was fairly new. So this was a newer buy for me originally, and then I don't know what happened to my copy, but I think somebody borrowed it and it's gone now, so I got me a new one. Most of the books that I buy on Better World books are less than $5. So yeah, I saw they were both on there, and I was like, oh, I gotta get it. I have to have a copy, and I wanted the sequel as well. And I keep looking that direction because I've got the sequel as well. Children of Virtue and Vengeance. I love these covers. I think they're absolutely fantastic. So I haven't read Children of Virtue and Vengeance yet, but I have read Children of Blood and Bone, and I loved it. The back, they killed seen or read Shadow and Bone, which is quite funny because I just recently got that, the Grishaverse, from Lee Bardugo, right? That's what I think, Lee Bardugo, yeah. Did Shadow and Bone, and it's kind of similar, kind of. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. If you haven't read it, I recommend it. It's good if you like fantasy. I'm about it. I like Yummy. She did a great job. And I love this cover. I just love it. Again, if y'all read it, I want to know your thoughts. I always like hearing thoughts. Same thing. Magic has returned to the land of Orisha, but the fight for power isn't over. The war has just begun. So excited. Children. Oh, virtue. Oh, I've got my little pointer thing. And vengeance. Good stuff. Yeah, I'm excited to read the second one. It's gonna be great. Speaking of sequels, I got Hidden Bodies by Caroline Kepnes. I don't know how to say her name, honestly. This is the sequel to the book You from, they made it into a Netflix show, and I'm such a huge fan of Ben Badgley. I love him. I watched a lot of Gossip Girl when it originally came out, and I love him in the series. He's done a great job. I'm on season 4. I haven't gotten all the way through it yet. I've only watched the first 3 episodes, I think. But it's such a dark series, but the books kind of read so much like the show, and I like that. So anyway, I'm excited. I haven't actually finished You yet, but I wanted to ensure that I had the sequel so that when I did, I was ready. Yeah, I'll read it to you, but if you haven't read the first one, it might not make sense. Joe Goldberg is no stranger to hiding bodies. In the past 10 years, this 30-something has buried 4 of them. Collateral damage in his quest for love. Now he's heading west to Los Angeles, the city of second chances, determined to put his past behind him. In Hollywood, Joe blends in effortlessly with his fellow young upstarts. He eats guac, works in a bookstore, and flirts with a journalist neighbor. But while others seem fixated on their own reflections, Joe can't stop looking over his shoulder. The problem with hidden bodies is that they don't always stay that way. They reemerge, like dark thoughts, multiplying and threatening to destroy what Joe wants most, true love. And when he finds it in a darkened room in Soho House, he's more desperate than ever to keep his secrets buried. He doesn't want to hurt his new girlfriend. He wants to be with her forever. But if she ever finds out what he's done, he may not have a choice. Oh, yeah. It reminded me how much I love it. I love that Stephen King gave it praise that says hypnotic and scary. Coming from Stephen King, that says a lot. It's kind of funny. Okay, this next book is a little bit more on the serious spooky side. We've got Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper. This book is wild, y'all. I'm not even sure. I feel like I've talked about it on my channel before. So wild. William Cooper was an old military dude that wow. He ended up being assassinated. At least for the book, in which his daughter wrote, I think, the foreword to, or something at the end to confirm that he was assassinated by I think the FBI, or anyway, let me just read this to you. Bill Cooper, former United States Naval Intelligence Briefing Team member, reveals information hidden from the public. This information was kept in top secret government files since the 1940s. This is supposed to be real shit, folks, not like fiction, so. Cooper unveils the truth as he writes about the assassination of JFK, the war on drugs, the secret government, and UFOs. Cooper was a lucid, rational, and powerful speaker whose intent was to transform and empower his audience. Standing room only was normal for his events. His presentation and information transcended partisan affiliations, as he clearly addressed issues in a way that had a striking impact on listeners of all backgrounds and interests. He spoke to many groups throughout the U.S. and appeared regularly on many radio and television talk shows. In 1988, Bill decided to talk due to events that taking place worldwide, events that he had seen plans for back in the early 70s. Afterward, he correctly predicted the lower of the Iron Curtain, the fall of the Berlin Wall, and the invasion of Panama. All of Bill's predictions were on record well before the events occurred. Bill was not a psychic. His information came from top-secret documents that he read while working with the intelligence briefing team, and from over 17 years of thorough research. I mean, the stuff that's in here is so intense. Like, he had the assassination papers for JFK go across his desk at one point. The assassination was supposedly called for by the VP at the time, which I think was Lyndon B. Johnson. And the fact that he claims to have seen UFOs, like, it's wild. It's wild, and it's a bit creepy too, kind of scary in a way. Like the stuff that he talks about our government hiding. Yeah. Pretty crazy, but so interesting. I find that stuff like conspiracy theories, not always to be theories, but I find it interesting. If you're into that kind of stuff, let me know, we can talk. The next book I have is The Fifth Season, Every Age Must Come to an End. This is by N.K. Jemisin. I was really excited about this one. This is another one of those booktube buys, like somebody on booktube, or no, lies, bookstagram. Bookstagram was talking about this. I have a bookstagram under the babbling book, the _babbling_book. So if you like books, look me up if you have like any interest. If not, I'm not mad. But yeah, I saw somebody read this series and was like, it's so good, it's one of the best series I've ever read, and it came pretty highly recommended, so I was about it. A season of endings has begun. It starts with a great red rift across the heart of the world's sole continent, spewing ash that blots out the sun. It starts with death, with a murdered son and a missing daughter. It starts with betrayal and long dormant wounds rising up to fester. This is the stillness, a land familiar with catastrophe, where the power of the earth is wielded as a weapon and where there is no mercy. It's, I believe, fantasy. It says that this is what you must remember. The ending of one story is just the beginning of another. This has happened before, after all. People die. Old orders pass. New societies are born. When we say the world has ended, it's usually a lie, because the planet is just fine. But this is the way the world ends. This is the way the world ends. This is the way the world ends. For the last time. She's from Brooklyn. Female author. loving it, and I'm excited to start this one. Brandon Sanderson, y'all, if you like a fantasy book, Brandon Sanderson is where it's at. More than likely, if you like a fantasy book, then you already know that, because Brandon Sanderson is fantastic. Love, love. 10 years ago, calamity came. It was a burst in the sky that gave ordinary people extraordinary powers. The awed public started calling them epics. Epics are no friend of man. With incredible gifts came the desire to rule, and to rule man, you must crush his will. Now, in what was once Chicago, an astonishingly... Don't you love that when you just blah, blah, blah? An astonishingly powerful epic named Steelheart has installed himself as emperor. Steelheart possesses the strength of 10 men and can control the elements. It is said that no bullet can harm him, no sword can split his skin, and no fire can burn him. He is invincible. Nobody fights back. Nobody but the Reckoners. A shadowy group of ordinary humans, the Reckoners, spend their lives studying epics, finding their weaknesses, and then assassinating them. And David wants in. When Steelheart came to Chicago, he killed David's father. For years, like the Reckoners, David has been studying and planning, and he has something they need. Not an object, but an experience. He has seen Steelheart bleed, and he wants revenge. Yeah, I'm stoked. Sounds good. Christopher Paolini said, a dense, fast-paced adventure. Brandon Sanderson is one of the best fantasy sci-fi writers working today. Christopher Paolini is the one that did the Aragon series, if you didn't know. That's the thing, too. I'm a sucker for a name, right? So if I know of an author that I have either read before or have books of, like, have books of theirs, I'll pick them up. It's a weakness. Okay, now we're getting into dollar store books, right? Those were all the Better World books that I had gotten. And these are dollar store. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. And I'll try to get through these quickly. I actually already started reading this one, The Glare. So far, it's really interesting. Like, she did something wrong, something terrible, and now the randoms are coming for her. It just sounded so interesting. Once you start playing, it's already too late. Like, our mom takes her out in the middle of BFE, also known as Bum-Effed Egypt, and kind of, like, is trying to keep her away from technology, like cell phones and TVs and anything that can be considered the glare, because it gets into your mind and screws you up, right? It's kind of like, she talks about, like, her babysitter putting Drano in her eyes and still saying, I can still see that, I can still see it, when she's talking about her cell phone. Like, basically saying we stare at technology too much, which is probably true. Anyway, there's a video game that ends up kind of being like real life, so, and that's kind of what she ends up going to see her dad, who still lives in this city. And I think she gets caught up in this game, playing this game. Right? It's a first-person shooter game from the dark web that traumatized her when she was younger. There's a rumor that says if the player dies 13 times while playing level 13 of the glare, the person will die in real life. She starts playing the death game. It spreads among her friends, and she realizes the truth behind the nightmares that plagued her is even more twisted than she could have imagined. I'm so curious. I started reading it and got kind of sucked in. So we'll see how that ends up. I'll keep you posted. I feel like I didn't keep you posted on the last book I talked about, which, by the way, I enjoyed until the last 4 pages. But maybe I'll tell you about that later. Jackpot by Nick Stone. Trivia, who knows who Nick Stone is? Nick Stone wrote Dear Martin, which is another book that I have in my collection. He's right. I know he's right. Whoever bought that ticket really has no reason to come back to the store unless they need gas and or artificially colored and flavored slushies. But that won't stop me from wondering if I had the opportunity to pocket a big winner and I chose the wrong ticket. Yeah, I'm excited. Jackpot, all bets are off. When $100 million lottery ticket from her store goes unclaimed, Rico Danger, that's Donger, thank you very much, has to find the winner. If she can unite the ticket holder with the cash, maybe Rico will finally catch a lucky break and a cut of the winnings. Yeah, I don't know. I liked the cover too. I always like to read about the authors too. This is reading a start review. Jackpot, her third novel, is a life-affirming story about the humanity in people, no matter how little or how much it is in their bank account. She lives in Atlanta with her adorable little family. That's cute. Cute. I'm excited. Have I mentioned that every book I'm excited to read? I always do that. Another one, Karen Rivers. All That Was. Who are we without her? Interesting. Two best friends, the boy who loves them both. What happens when there's only one girl left? Piper and Sloan are best friends. They grow up together, dress alike, and never do anything without each other. To Sloan, Piper has always been extraordinary, fierce, pretty, and powerful. The only thing that makes Sloan special is that Piper chose her for a sisterhood that was supposed to last forever. That is, until Piper caught Sloan kissing Piper's boyfriend, Soup. The boyfriend's name is Soup. And the next day, Piper is found dead. Oh, that just got crazy. Washed ashore on a beach. As Sloan and Soup relive their deep, sometimes painful histories with Piper and face a future without her, they're racked by questions. Who's to blame for Piper's death? How do you make amends for hurting someone you love if that person is no longer around? And how can you ever move on and love again? Interesting. That one might be kind of sad. I don't know. I didn't really read too much into it. I was at the dollar store and went, oh, okay, let's do it. Let me tell you how shook I was when I found this at the dollar store. This is Queenie by Candace Cartier-Williams. This is like, I was shook because this is another one of the Bookstagram, like super popular Bookstagram books that I always see people reading and saying like, you have to read this. So I was really surprised to find it at the dollar store, honestly. But I'm pretty sure they buy Target's leftovers. I think they must be it, because like, yeah, they all have these, like, some of them have Target stickers on them. Anyway, does y'all's Dollar Tree have books? Is that just mine here in Florida? It says, meet Queenie, journalist, catastrophist, that's a word, lonely, loved, relatable. Her boyfriend has asked her to leave their apartment. Her boss doesn't seem to see her. Her Jamaican British family doesn't seem to hear her. Her best friend's tribe failed to help her. Queenie is in a spiral. As she careens from one questionable decision to another, she finds herself wondering, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? Who do you want to be? All of the quandaries today's women must face in a world trying to answer them for her. I don't know. I know y'all read. Pretty mainstream, right? So tell me if you've read this and if it's any good. I'm curious. Oprah's read it, so it must be good, right? Whatever. Don't get me started. I this spoon. They were so, I'm telling, see, I'm not popular opinion reader. I've told you this already, but like a lot of their stuff that they recommend, I'm like, that was shit. What a shit book. Thanks for nothing. Like, I don't know. I just, whatever. Alright, I'm kind of excited about this one. It's called Lisa Fielder. The author is named Lisa Fiedler. Anyway, the book is called We Walked the Sky, but it's just so different. How can you put down roots if you never touch the ground? It just sounds interesting. The thing about running away to join the circus is that it's a good idea when you believe you're running towards something, but it can get awfully complicated when you're running from something. I thought it was really interesting because she's a trapeze artist, I believe. It says, in 1965, 17-year-old Victoria, having just escaped an unstable home, flees to the ultimate place for dreamers and runaways, the circus. Specifically, the Van Drexel family circus, where among the lion tamers, roustabouts, and trapeze artists, Victoria hopes to start a better life. 50 years later, Victoria's 16-year-old granddaughter Callie is thriving, a gifted tightrope walker with dreams of being a Van Drexel high-wire legend just like her grandmother. Callie can't imagine herself anywhere but the circus, but when Callie's mother accepts her dream job at an animal sanctuary in Florida, it's always Florida. Just months after Victoria's death, Callie is forced to leave her lifelong home behind. Feeling unmoored and out of her element, Callie pores over memorabilia from her family's days on the road, and when she finds notes that a young Victoria wrote to herself with tips and tricks for navigating her new world, Callie decides to use her grandmother's circus prowess to navigate the uncharted waters of high school. Fun! I think it just sounds cool. Different. Interesting. That was my last book for this haul. I think it sounds fun. And it kind of reminds me of the fact that, like, I journal for my kids. Like, leaving them tips and tricks and telling them the dates that things happen. Like, this is the first time that you ever drank water instead of milk, and it's just stupid stuff. And my husband is like, they're gonna love this someday. They're gonna appreciate it. And I'm like, or they're gonna think that I'm a psycho, which is more likely. Sorry, I've got a hair on my lip. Anyway, yeah, so that's it. That's our haul, guys. Get excited. Tell me if any of these books, if you made it this far, let me know what books out of any of them, if any of them, sounded good to you or like something you'd read. If you have read any of them, let me know that too. I love that. I love talking about books. I love chilling with you guys. It's been real. It's been fun. And it has been real fun. So, alright. I hope that you enjoyed. And even more so, I hope to see you in my next